So I know you told the BBC that President Biden was in really good form during your meeting. Obviously, we're hearing lots of different accounts from people who have had meetings with the president, and 51 million Americans watching that debate 2 weeks ago saw something different than really good form. If you were to witness a concerning development, would you say something?
Yes, of course. But I mean, I yesterday spent 45 minutes with the president. We'd spoken on the phone, as you can imagine, but this was an opportunity to discuss a number of issues. We were billed for 45 minutes. We probably went on for the best part of an hour, covered a lot of ground, and he was in good form. And it was also a really good opportunity for me as the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, just literally in week one, to speak to the President about the special relationship, which matters to him, matters to me, and, of course, to make absolutely clear our unshakable support for NATO, to be here at the NATO summit. So it was a good session, covered a lot of ground, strategic stuff as well. And obviously, we've had 2 days of the Council now with, actually a very successful outcome. President Zelensky saying this is a success. And so I do think he deserves credit for that.
Whoever gets elected in the United States in November will either be almost 80 or just over 80, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Sir Winston Churchill resigned as prime minister at the age of 80 when he realized he was slowing down. And you want to reduce the size of the House of Lords by forcing peers to retire at the age of 80. So 80 might be too old?
Well, the House of Lords, you're absolutely right. We want to have this limit that if you're 80 during the course of the Parliament, then you have to retire. That's actually more to do with the size of the House of Lords. Our second chamber is the second biggest chamber in the world. We've got over 800 members. We've got to get the size down. So this age limit is actually more a mechanism for getting the age down. Obviously, in America, it's for the American people to decide who they want to be their president.
Speaking of which, polls indicate former President Donald Trump, as of right now, looks like he will be reelected. Who knows what will happen in the next 4 months. But your Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, in 2018 called President Trump, quote, a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathizing sociopath and a, quote, profound threat to the international order. You yourself said, with less flowery language, a Trump win is not your desired outcome, but you'll make it work. Should we consider that an endorsement of President Biden?
I'm a progressive, and we're sister parties with the Democrats. But I've also been really clear that I will work with whoever the American people decide to elect as their president. That's what you would expect, and it is for the American people to decide. They'll decide later this year, and we will approach it on that basis. Not least because the special relationship was forged in the most difficult circumstances, has endured for years. I think given the global challenges that we face, it's more important than ever, and therefore, of course, we'll work with whoever is elected in, and it's for the American people to choose, who they think is the right person to be president, and I will fully respect that and work with whoever they choose.
President Trump has threatened to leave NATO. He sounds open to cutting a deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin that would essentially, it seems, give Putin some of the territory of Ukraine. How concerned are you about those as policy moves?
Well, I think it's important to wait and see what happens, who's elected as president, and what actually happens after that. In relation to the support for Ukraine, I mean, that was a really strong resolve from the NATO countries today, and I think everybody will see that resolve and why it's so important. And that matters to us. But, let's wait and see. It's always tempting to get ahead of ourselves and to do all the what-if questions. We'll wait and see who's elected in, wait and see what decisions are then taken after that. But my position as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom could not be clearer, which is an unshakable support for NATO. We were proudly one of the countries that was there at the founding of NATO. If you look at the treaty, which is in Brussels, the NATO founding treaty, it's It's a Labour Secretary of State that signed it, so we're proud of that history. It's an unshakable support, and NATO now bigger than it's ever been, with extra countries, stronger today, I think, than it's been, and with a real resolve that came through the Council over the last 2 days on a number of issues, but particularly on this question of Ukraine and standing up to Russian aggression. So I think there's a real clarity of purpose in NATO, and certainly a real clarity of purpose from me.
NATO countries pledge to spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense. Your party has made a pledge to eventually spend 2.5% of GDP on defense. That's up from 2.3% right now. The United States is worried that you'd have trouble finding enough battle-ready troops if called upon by NATO right now. You're starting a big defense review, I know.
Yeah.
But you haven't said when you think you'll be able to get to 2.5%. Why not commit to a timeline? And what do you think about concerns that British troops, there aren't enough battle-ready ones?
Well, let me take that in stages, because we in Europe make a unique contribution to NATO in terms of not just the deterrence, of course, but also the deployment of our capabilities. We pretty well put all of our capability at the disposal of Ukraine, working with our NATO allies. So it's a huge contribution. We already meet and exceed the 2%. Yep. That's a floor, of course, so going above it is a good thing, and we're urging allies to get to that 2% and go beyond it. We will carry out a strategic review, referencing your point about the number of troops, because it'll be a strategic review looking at the capabilities we have, looking at the risks that we're facing, and assessing strategically what we need to do on defence. The reason we're doing that now is because there's, as you will appreciate, quite a lot of information not available to the opposition, only available to the government of the day. That's quite right. I don't grumble about that. So we'll carry out that strategic review. We're absolutely committed to the 2.5% within our fiscal rules, and we'll set our roadmap for getting there. What I'm not going to do is set arbitrary targets, because I think that's unserious. And we're very serious about that 2.5%.